Hi, it's Vicki of My Creative Corner 3. It's another March day, but the spring that I thought was coming, no. We got a surprise 6 inches of snow during the day today, and it might still be snowing. The roads are a little slippery, and sometimes, though, I don't mind because it's way too early for green grass and for all of the things, fairy gardens and flowers and green things. So I'm used to the snow. So here we are, a white, Christmassy looking day outside. It's so white, even if I stuck the camera in the window, you wouldn't be able to see all the snow. But it's given a fresh, clean start to all of that ugly brown with the melting. So this is a week where I've really been thinking about a little problem that I have, and that is orphan blocks. I used to do some testing for Quiltmaker 100 block. I did about 5 or 6 magazine cycles, and I have a whole drawer of, well, orphan blocks. I've made a queen size quilt. I've made several little quilts. I've made fun little oversized quiet books with quilt blocks for my grandchildren, but I still have tons of them, and I'm making more. Test blocks for myself, test blocks for other people, experiments, one-off quilts like this. I thought, wouldn't this be a great version of a Polaroid quilt? Yeah, one block. Haven't gone anywhere with it. I'm going to show you a small sampling of just the 6-inch blocks that I have. And some of these I'm quite attached to. See, look at this stack. I have a whole drawer of blocks. So I've been talking a lot on my Facebook group. I mean, I've got some that I'm really attached to, like this one. Oh, I just love that. And while I'm showing you these, the question came up from me. What do you do with them? Here's a crate one, a little wonky star. And I got thinking, I could make more sampler quilts for donation, but some of these blocks I'm really attached to. And I don't want to give them away. I could frame them. Look at this one. Oh, I'm so attached to it. I couldn't donate it. But some of the other ones I could. And that one I probably donate. It's okay. It's not my favorite. This one's okay. But this one, little tiny churn dash. So I got thinking, maybe there's other things I could do besides making a sampler quilt. Oh, I love those stars. I got thinking maybe you could sew these into an apron. Like maybe you're in the skirt or up around the chest. Oh, I like that. And this. Or maybe someone suggested you could make pot holders or table runners, wall hangings. Donating, there's lots of places I could donate some if I can become emotionally detached to some of these. There's things like placemats for Meals on Wheels, lap robes for nursing homes, there's quilts for cure. The children who are fighting cancer can get a quilt. There's lots of places to donate. But see, my problem is I'm really attached. Maybe they'll stay in a drawer for a while till I become not attached. Or maybe I will do what I intended with some of these, which is to go ahead and make a quilt. I'm going to show you some other things that I'm quite attached to. I took a marbling class, and I don't think I've shown these to you. I love that. See, it's imperfect here, but it was so much fun to make. I think I'm going to put the marbled pieces, they're rectangular, and I think they would go well into more of a art piece, wall hanging kind of a thing. Oh, this one is kind of frond, it's feathery. And I think that would be great, but I can't make this whole house, which has very little wall space around me. It's a 100-year-old home. I can't pad it with quilts. Or could I? Here's another piece. Oh, I like those blues and greens. The citrus with a surprise dash of that blue. Let's see. It's a couple more pieces. And where I get really kind of, introspective, I guess, is it terrible to have all of these things that I make just for the sake of making them and don't always have a plan in mind? I guess that's how creative people are. We just make things. And sometimes they're experiments, like a lot of my blocks. And I'm thinking of, I was trying to get overly complicated, like organize them by project or era or fabric. No, I'm just going to put them together in some puzzle. Maybe the big ones with the little ones, and maybe not. I don't know. But I think a lot of them will be put in quilts that will be made for donation. And I think a lot of them I'm just going to have to detach so that I can give them away. So the question I have for you is, what do you do with orphan blocks? And what do you do with testing things? Do you throw them away? Do you make donations or give them away? I'd love to hear what you have to say about it, because I've been kind of internally struggling, which is, I guess, the mind of people who make a lot of things, and there's not always something in the end to show for it except a pile of blocks. That when I stacked all of them top to bottom, it was probably about 5 or 6 inches tall of just blocks. I had no idea I had so many. So I'm trying to stop making blocks just for making them, but I am still making minis. I'm still catching up on my quilting. And so I wanted to talk about that. My goal for this year is to catch up on all of the quilts that I have pieced tops for. Those are the things that I call my UFOs. I'm down to 9, and I have some customer quilts that I'm working on. But overall, I got to get those caught up and not get too crazy in making lots of really big quilts, because where I'm struggling is making the queen size quilts and getting them quilted. I mean, I can put them together, but it's getting all of the time and the resources to go ahead and quilt that into a big quilt. I've got lots of things, for, all of my relatives have lots of quilts. So making them for gifts for people may not be an option, because, there's a lot of quilters in the family. So donation, that's probably where they're going to go. Then, I'm looking at catching up on my long arming. I'm always behind on it. And I really, really wanted last year to be the year that I had no more UFOs. Works in progress, I have a couple, but as a report as to we're into the second quarter now, we're wrapping up the first quarter. I think I'm doing okay as far as all of that business of staying on track, of getting things done that I wanted to get done, because I was super busy. And now it feels like I have more time to do things that I want. And a day like today, with all this snow and it's cold and it's the snow makes it a lot more quiet here. I live in a house in town, and I hear a lot of traffic in the summer months, and the snow kind of dampens that a little bit. So goal setting, I don't really have too many more than just making some of the things for myself. But this month is March, so I wanted to do a New York beauty block, and I have electric quilter, and I'm going to paper piece it. I think I was toying around with the idea of improvisationally piecing it, and I decided I better do a traditionally pieced one so I understand how it goes together. I just got done teaching an improv class, and I'm really excited about making some improvisationally pieced things. But I'm going to work on the New York Beauty Mini. It's probably only going to be 4 blocks, and it's not going to be big. It's going to be mini, and I want to have a wall for mini. I'm also knitting swatches of different stitches in a really beautiful wool that I have, a couple different cream colored wools, and have them in hoops so that I can hang them on the wall. That would be really pretty in some of my hallways. I want to jazz it up a little bit. So those are my big things. I've got a couple of quilts that I'm working on that are going into a magazine. So I have a lot of quilting I need to do. But this is something else I wanted to ask a question of my viewers. I can only physically long arm and sew so many hours a day. And it's amazing how many ideas I still get even after becoming a quilter for over 25 years. It's probably been closer to 30 if I really want to do math, but I don't want to. So what kind of exercises do you do? I go to the gym and I walk and I've been stretching, but I'm finding that standing at the long arm with my hip and my back has been a little more difficult to do it for any longer than an hour, 45 minutes really at a time, and then take a break and then come back. I wind up doing 2 or 3 sessions of quilting like that a day. What kind of exercises do you do? I mean, obviously getting in shape and trying to be healthy, which means losing weight and eating right, and all that is always on my list of things to do. But how, do you have hand exercises? I mean, there's a lot of gripping on a machine, a lot of pushing with that, and my fingers get tired. I try to do some wrist stretches, try to keep my neck from being too stiff with shoulder rolls. But I would love to hear what kind of exercises and stretching or pointers do you have? I've thought about buying a shoulder bow tie, it's called. It's for a lot of people who exercise, or a back brace, thinking that might help with posture. As you get tired, we kind of slump over as human beings, and I know I do. So that would be a great thing. So to end today, I've got 2 questions for my audience of people who are viewing this. What do you do with orphan blocks? And how do you deal with maybe, guilt of just making things without intention? I'm trying to make things with intention. And what kind of exercises do you do? Because I'm getting, aches and pains now that I didn't used to have. And how do you deal with it? Maybe it's just that it needs to be more broken up in units of time, as well as taking, breaks, and honestly not doing quite as much as I used to. So feel free to leave comments and let me know what kinds of things you do. We all have our physical limitations. And unfortunately, I know the older I get, the more I can't quilt and sew for hours at a time. But I also want to invite you to join me on my webpage, which is My Creative Corner 3. Link will be in the description below, as well as I have an audio podcast that's twice a month. I have a twice a month newsletter, and you can always find me on Facebook also, but where I'm at probably the most is Instagram, outside of the video world. I want to thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to hearing from you and letting me know, what do you do with orphan blocks? And do you have any tips and tricks for stretching exercises or managing limitations as you're trying to meet your goal of getting caught up and getting all of these things done? Thanks again, and I want you to have a wonderful day. And let's see if you can see outside. Oh yeah, you get to see the neighbor's gas meter there, but nothing but white. So I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. It's not going to last long now. Have a good day.